What if I told you that the freedom you think you have online is actually a trap, a cage that has been under construction for 10 years, and they just locked the door? At the World Economic Forum in Davos, the mask didn't just slip, it was torn off. They aren't hiding it anymore. They are telling you, to your face, that your privacy is a threat to their power. Look at this image. Memorize this symbol. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you why this isn't science fiction. It is the specific documented mechanism they are rolling out right now to make sure you never have a private thought again. For years, the mainstream media called us paranoid. They said digital ID was just for convenience. They said it was to help you pay your taxes easier or to stop Russian bots on Twitter. That was the official narrative: safety, security, convenience. But at WEF 2025, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez destroyed that narrative in a single sentence. No one can walk the streets with a mask, so why allow people to roam online without revealing their identity? Pedro Sánchez. No one can walk the streets with a mask. Let's translate that. He is demanding the total abolition of online anonymity. He wants every social media account, every comment section, and every forum linked directly to an EU digital ID wallet. This is the smoking gun. This isn't about accountability. If you have to scan your government ID to log into X or YouTube, the government knows exactly what you're reading, what you're saying, and who you're listening to. They frame this as cleaning up the internet. But let's look at the actual architecture of the EU Digital Identity Regulation, known as eIDAS 2.0. This regulation creates a wallet that holds your payment history, your medical status, your educational records, and your biometric data. Sánchez wants to take that wallet and make it the key to the internet. Without the key, you don't get in. You are digitally exiled. You need to understand the language they use in the back rooms. They don't call it surveillance. That's too ugly. The true term for this operation is the panopticon, a prison where you behave because you might be watched at any second. If your digital ID is attached to your speech, you will self-censor. You won't post that meme. You won't like that dissident video. You will silence yourself. That is the goal. But wait, it gets darker. You might be thinking, I'm in the US, or I'm in the UK. This is just a European problem. Wrong. The UK is already hemorrhaging its future because the people know what's coming. We just got our hands on new ONS migration data. For the first time, we can see the breakdown by age. 53% of the net outflow of British nationals is age 16 to 24. Another 46% are age 25 to 34. Think about Nick, a 30-year-old software engineer in London. He's not leaving because of the weather. He's leaving because he sees the walls closing in, the taxes, the surveillance, the stagnation. The youth are fleeing the grid before the gate locks. They are voting with their feet. But the digital ID is just the surface mechanism. It's just the app on your phone. What I'm about to show you ties this directly to the money in your bank account. The connection between Pedro Sánchez's speech and the central bank digital currency rollout is undeniable. You won't believe how deep this rabbit hole goes. First, hit the like button if you think the news lies to you every single day. Do it now. Let's trigger the algorithm. Welcome back. Now, let's peel back the second layer. Why is the World Economic Forum so obsessed with digital ID? Is it really about hate speech? No. It's about the fourth industrial revolution. That is Klaus Schwab's pet project. In his own book, Schwab describes the fourth industrial revolution as a fusion of our physical, digital, and biological identities. Note the word fusion. Sánchez's demand to link your ID to your social media is the digital fusing with the social. But the final piece is the financial. If they have your ID linked to your speech, they can see what you say. But if they link that same ID to a programmable CBDC, they can punish you for it. Let's look at the Better Than Cash Alliance, a UN-partnered group pushing for the end of physical money. Their white papers explicitly state that digital payments require robust digital identification. You cannot have one without the other. If you post something hateful, your digital ID gets flagged, because your ID is the login for your bank wallet. Suddenly, your transaction limit drops, or you can't buy travel tickets. Stop looking at these events in isolation. Look at the pattern. They did it with health. During the pandemic, they rolled out vaccine passports. That was the beta test for the infrastructure. They needed to see if you would accept a QR code to enter a building. You did. They did it with finance. We saw the debanking of protesters in Canada. They proved they could freeze assets based on political dissent. And now, they are doing it with speech. Sánchez is the mouthpiece for the final phase, the end of anonymity. The thread tying them all together is compliance. The goal isn't safety, The goal is a control grid where you cannot move, spend, or speak without a digital permission slip signed by the state. And who are the players? It's not just Sanchez, he's a puppet. Look at the partnerships. Thales, a massive defense contractor, is heavily involved in the development of digital identity wallets. Why is a military defense contractor designing the app you use to log into Facebook? Because this is a military operation. It is a war on the populace. It is what military strategists call fifth-generation warfare. Warfare fought through information and perception. They know the current system is collapsing. The debt is unsustainable. The trust in institutions is at an all-time low. Remember the migration stats? The productive class is leaving. The only way they can keep the Ponzi scheme going is to lock the doors, to build a digital Berlin Wall. When Sanchez says no one walks with a mask, he is gaslighting you. He is saying that privacy is abnormal. He is trying to rewrite the social contract to say that surveillance is the default state of existence. So where does this leave us? Where does this leave you? If this goes through, and the EU Digital Services Act is already paving the way, the internet as we know it dies. Imagine a world where you want to criticize a politician's corruption. You type the post, but then you remember, this account is linked to my real ID. My boss can see this, my bank can see this, my government can see this. You hit backspace, you delete the draft. That silence, that is the sound of freedom dying. It creates a caste system, the verified class who parrot the narrative and get rewarded with easy travel and cheap credit, and the unverified or flagged class who live in the digital shadows cut off from society. They want to turn the West into a copy of the Chinese social credit system. In China, if your score drops, you can't take the fast train, you can't get a loan. Sanchez is proposing the exact same mechanism, just wrapped in the flag of Western democracy. This is the digital control grid of 2030. And the scary part? It happens slowly. It happens with updates to terms of service. It happens with optional verification that eventually becomes mandatory. They will sell it to you with fear. They will say, we need this to stop terrorists. We need this to protect the children. But as Freedom Train International has warned for years, the merger of digital ID, AI censorship, and state surveillance is the backbone of the tyranny. Remember that image I showed you at the start? The barcode over the face? That isn't just a symbol. That is the literal plan. Sanchez's comment was the signal. They are coming for your anonymity because your anonymity is the only shield you have left against a state that has turned against its own people. Freedom dies when privacy ends, and they are trying to kill it right now. So, what do? You resist. You reject the convenience. You use cash. You use VPNs. You support platforms that don't require ID. You refuse to comply with the soft rollout before it becomes the hard mandate. Don't be like the sheep walking into the slaughterhouse because the farmer promised them safety. Be the wolf that sees the fence. If you want to stay ahead of the digital control grid, you need to be informed. Subscribe to the channel. Join Freedom Train International. Share this video with one person who is still asleep. They want you nameless, faceless, and obedient. Prove them wrong.